Hey, it's Cake. Doing something I don't normally do today, and that's a little breakdown of the recent gameplay shown from MHRise, and a few of my own thoughts on what some of the changes they've shown could mean in the long term. A lot was shown off today, however I do also want to recap a few things here and there that we know already that I believe are important to how Rise's exploration and combat loop might function. Most importantly of these, in my own opinion, are of course the shiny new wire bugs that you get. You can start with 2 at once, and you also appear to be able to gather additional wire bugs in the field while not in combat. The wire bug can be thrown in multiple different directions, can be used to scale walls, and you can even hang from one if you want. Each wire bug has a recharge time depending on what action it's used for and if you're in combat or not. Some more impactful movement options or attacks have a greater recharge time than simply using the wire bug for standard aerial movement. The action with the lowest recharge time so far is just using the wire bug for standard movement, like throwing yourself into the air or travelling horizontally to a location. Recently a new option was shown off fully, and that's the new wire fall movement option, which appears to work almost like a tech in a fighting game. When you're knocked down by a large attack, you can expend a wire bug to immediately get back into the action. Both myself and a few people I know were concerned about this making the game considerably easier, since the footage shown before appears to spam the technique. It looks like it's going to add a real element of resource management to the combat loop, which I'm personally all for. Using wire fall expends 1 wire bug use, and the recharge time appears to be similar to that when using a silk bind attack, making the technique very much either a last resort to get away or something to use when you're confident you'll be able to stay in the action with a limited use of your new insect pal. This isn't the first time Monster Hunter has had this sort of technique. Frontier had it as well. In that game, pressing the evade button when you hit the ground with good timing would sharply decrease your recovery time, however not quite to the extent that Wirefall does. Wirefall allows you to zoom out of the way of any follow-up attacks or straight back into combat at the cost of potentially integral resource. Thus, when the player is knocked down, they're now met with a choice. Do you use Wirebug to get away, or get back into things, or do you want to keep both of your wire bugs in case you get a chance for a big attack opening? This sort of combat loop question and the resource management that comes with it is something I'm really happy to see, and I'm pleased with how it appears to be implemented. On another note, Endemic Life from World and how it's interacted with appears to be making a return, yet this time each interactable creature has its own little tooltip that shows its effect. At one point in the gameplay we see the player discover new life as well, and the game explains how it's used. You may have to discover and use Endemic Life before the tooltip appears, and that sort of interactivity incentivization is something I'm really all for. As well as these, there are also new small insects that you can find out and about that give effects such as boosting maximum health and stamina, perhaps implying that discovering and planning a good route to the quest target might become important. However, I'm certain items like max and ancient potions will still exist to meet these buffs anyhow. And anyway, for the pure combat changes now, the monster shown off in this demo is Agnosom, whose design I really honestly adore. The movement is sort of peculiar while also having new animations and timings to learn, and from this demo I'm now really looking forward to fighting it myself. It uses a mix of wing strikes, rolling fireballs, and beak slams to attack you, signaling its moves with lengthy wind-up animations, and from my best guesses is most likely an early monster meant to teach new players about signaling and attack safety. As well as this, it seems to gain new attack patterns and shorter wind-ups when enraged, and is shaping up to look like a really fun, kind of involved hunt. The weapon being shown off here is Monster Hunter's iconic Greatsword, and the changes to the moveset pose some interesting questions. Before we get into those, however, I'd like to skip forward to something shown a little later in the demonstration, and that's the new Power Sheath. For 1 wirebug use and a short cooldown, you can sheath your weapon and move out of combat or reposition, as well as additionally raising your attack power for a short amount of time. The reason I bring this up now is because of a little tangent I want to make here that Greatsword players from older games and World may find interesting. I want to talk about something I call playstyle incentivization. In some of the earliest games, your playstyle was almost solely limited to your weapon type. Do you like quick bursts of attacks and high mobility? Then you'll probably enjoy Sword and Shield. Do you enjoy more methodical, heavy-hitting attacks? Then you'll probably fall in love with Greatsword. Greatsword has always been about big damage numbers in short windows, knowing when to pick your openings and punishing moves that leave the monster open. If you enjoyed this playstyle, chances are you probably also enjoyed how Generations Ultimate allowed you to double down on it, with the Valor Greatsword of that game having a greater emphasis on your unsheath attacks and timings. As well as that, however, you also had the option to pick and choose what you wanted to focus on based on what you enjoyed. Do you like the vertical mobility of Insect Blade but wished it just hit a bit harder? Then you'd probably love Aerial Greatsword. And if you want additional movement that's more reactionary than the standard crit draw Greatsword, then you'd probably want to try Adept for its charge moving upswing. In GU, the player is incentivized to play what they're most comfortable with, even to essentially pick and choose parts of the playstyles they enjoy the most while discarding to some extent the bits they didn't like. Enter Monster Hunter World. World. In World, the Greatsword got a new addition to its moveset, the incredibly powerful True Charge Slash, a double hit motion with the highest motion value of any attack on any moveset in World. To access this move, you have to land 3 successive strikes or cancel them with the new shoulder check before you can wind up and charge TCS. Landing TCS led to incredible damage, especially in comparison to any other move in the weapon's kit, including the much loved draw attack. Despite Iceborne's efforts to increase the viability of the draw attack with skills like Frostcraft on the Volcana set, it also gave quicker routes into TCS, pushing further that this was the end way the weapon was meant to be played. This is playstyle incentivization. GU incentivizes you to play what you enjoy and find what you're most comfortable with, while World sets an optimal way to play one weapon and says that if you don't like it, either settle for being suboptimal or play another weapon type. Nothing pushes this further than the popularity of Aerial Greatsword in base World, and how it was incredibly efficient on some monsters, and Capcom essentially said, no, you're not meant to play it that way, Ishihara-san hit the nerf button. Mind you, maybe this doesn't matter to you. Ultimately, having fun playing a video game matters the most to a lot of people, and if you enjoy trying to make crit draw work in World, then hey, there's literally nothing wrong with that. For some players, however, it meant the effective nerfing of a playstyle that they enjoyed in previous games, while pushing them towards something they might not have enjoyed. Why do I even bring this up? Well, it's because of Rise's new Power Sheath Silkbind. Power Sheath, quote, boosts the hunter's attack power for a short period of time. Now, it's not confirmed at the moment if this Silkbind is exclusive to Greatsword, and I'm not expecting it to be. However, its addition does bring me back to thinking about what I just mentioned, because as well as this new technique being present, they've also shown off the fact that TCS is going to be returning, and it looks just as strong as before. Now, in a perfect world, both Power Sheath draw attacks and TCS will be balanced immaculately, however I know that the chances of that happening are most likely impossible. But I do have to give credit to Ichinose's team for potentially allowing the previous playstyle to become viable again. Hopefully this will mean that people who enjoy the old draw attack focused playstyle of the previous games, as well as those who like the direction of the TCS central style of World, will be able to find success, and that's something that makes me pretty excited. Of course, this is all speculation, and we'll have to find out how this plays out when either a demo or the full game is released to the public, but for now I'm optimistic about this new element, potentially making the way myself and many others enjoyed the weapon type returning. Furthermore, the Silkbind could also increase the general relevancy of skills like punishing draw for other weapon types, and if it's something every weapon could do, it could make for some really incredibly fun and unique playstyles. I'm honestly looking forward to it. But yeah, tangent over, back to the actual showcase and the new additions to the moveset. Upon landing an aerial charge into the sweeping round slash, you can now shortcut directly into TCS, however that was the only non-wirebug influence change I could pick out. When it comes to using the wirebug itself, vaulting itself into the air will allow you to perform an aerial charge draw attack at the cost of 1 wirebug with a short cooldown, maybe further allowing crit draw builds of old to return to the prominence that they used to have. As shown in this clip, you can also reposition before doing the slash, which is a movement option I really like the look of. 2 Silkbinds are shown off in this demo, the first having a name I honestly just couldn't catch.
Called Huntinage.
The first attack uses both wirebugs, one being placed on a shorter cooldown and one being placed on a much more extended cooldown, similar to the Wirefall. Hunter yoinks himself into the air before landing an aerial uncharged draw attack directly into a charged draw attack. We're unable to see what this might lead to in the moveset as the Hunter gets fucking bonked, but I'm expecting it will have the same follow-up as the normal aerial charge slash. The other Silkbind also uses both wirebugs in the same way as before, yet this time when the Hunter connects with the monster, they leap into the air and perform the aerial multi-hit stab attack from World, which appears to be able to charge this time, and then from this you can deliver a sword slap to return to the World-style charge combo. To end out my analysis, I just want to talk briefly about the music present in Rise from what we've heard so far. A complaint of mine with World's tracks is that they sounded almost too cinematic and they lost their replayability rather swiftly, and appeared to be more so designed to have an initial impact on the player, which they did. While I think Iceborne remedied this with more traditional style tracks, the structure of the Ruined Shrine theme from Rise points towards returning to the older format that Iceborne takes inspiration from, and fortunately the track we've heard so far sounds absolutely incredible. I hope you enjoyed that little adventure into my own developing thoughts on Rise. This sort of video is new for me and I've really enjoyed processing my thoughts in this manner. If you think I've missed something important or want to chat further about some of the points I've raised, please just sound off in the comments. I'll happily join you, or you could join the Discord to chat further. I'd love to hear more opinions on this and discuss further with people. If you've enjoyed this content, I'd really appreciate if you left a like or subscribe to the channel. It's free and it helps let me know that people enjoy this kind of content. I also stream on average 4 days a week over at twitch.tv/monhuncake, and I'd love if you check that out too if you haven't already. For now, however, take care everyone and cheers for watching the video. See you soon.